Hey everybody, this is Keith, and welcome back to the Common Sense Practical Prepper podcast. Today is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. It's been a while since I had the opportunity to record a podcast, so I wanted to give everybody just a quick update about what's going on. Hopefully have the opportunity here very, very soon to actually sit down and do a proper podcast. My apologies that you did not get a chance to listen to the professional voiceover guy do his intro and outro, but there'll be plenty of opportunities for that later. So, as most of you probably heard on my last podcast, my father is ill, and I have been taking care of him. The few hours that I do get a chance to sleep outside of that, I am working from home, working from the hospital, basically with him as he gets things squared away with some long-term care, trying to get him back up on his feet. So moving back into the world of prepping, Hamas, Israel, they're still going at it. Like day 50, day 55, short 4-day ceasefire to exchange hostages from terrorists and that sort of thing. I know I talked, a couple podcasts ago about a get-home bag, and I am still working on that slowly but surely. But the more things I look at, it looks like the bigger the bag is going to be. But what I've decided to do, like I said before, is to get the kit that I want and then find the bag for it, as opposed to buying a bag that's potentially too big. And I just want to fill the bag. Oh, I've got an empty pocket here. Let me shove a tent in it. Or look at this, another zippered pocket I didn't know this had. Well, let me shove a little first aid kit. So getting that stuff together. And I saw a couple of videos. They're called like camp axes or survival axes. Very small hatchet / axe looking things. I'm not sure, like the definition for an axe. I assume it has a longer handle, so a short-handled axe is actually called a hatchet. I'm not really sure exactly how that works, but some people have done some videos on camp hatchets or survival hatchets. Considering adding that to my get-home bag, or maybe just a large knife. I'm not really sure. If I'm several miles away when the EMP hits, or society decays to the point to where I need to get out of my car and walk home or whatever, I'm not sure if I'll be in need of a camp hatchet, but certainly going to look into that. I've also realized that we talk about bugging in and bugging out. I don't have a place to bug out to. I would love to have an off-grid cabin in the middle of nowhere, with a well powered by solar. But I don't have that yet. And most people say that if you have a chance to bug in or bug out, obviously depending on the situation, that bugging in is probably the safest bet given most circumstances. Now, if something happens in your neighborhood and it's very, very unsafe and you have to leave, may not have a dedicated bug out place to go, but you're going to have to get out of there and get out of there quickly and just get away from where you're at. So I think I'm also going to do a little research into actually bugging in. And there is a whole set of, I guess, guidelines or rules or best practices that you should probably look at given your particular situation. So bugging in, for the most part, it's going to be easier than bugging out. And everybody's going to be different, and the circumstances are going to be different. But one thing you're definitely going to have to worry about is OPSEC, or operational security. So does everybody in the neighborhood know that you have, 15 years storage of beans and rice? Do you share the information just with, very close friends or close family? Do you have a small network of, 2, 4, 6, 8 different friends that also prep? Have you taken it upon yourself to say, hey, I'm going to take care of food. Jimmy down the street, he's got water, but not exclusively. You never would want to, let's say you have 5 people. You would never want Jimmy to have the food and Linda to have the water, and Mikey, to have the shelter and the ability to make fire. You would always want to spread that out, because in the off chance, or the very unfortunate chance that somebody gets compromised and the entire water supply is ruined for the group, then that's not a good situation to be in. So I don't think there's an issue with having somebody concentrate on one particular aspect of prepping, but you certainly don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So in the event, Linda's house, I don't know, gets broken into, or there's a fire or whatever, that the rest of the group is up the creek without a paddle. So certainly have somebody concentrate on something. If you have somebody with an extra large pantry, they've got a root cellar, then perhaps you want to speak to that person about having the majority of the food available for the group. Now, knowing that something can happen, and any one of those five little groups would have to bug out, come to your location, 2 people go to somebody else's location. I, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, I don't have anybody relatively close that I've actually networked with yet. Shoot, for all I know, there's somebody 3 streets away that's doing the same thing that I am. So it's certainly important to be able to network with folks, but you really got to be careful about who you trust. And just by my nature, I'm skeptical by nature. It's kind of one of those situations where, I trust you up to a certain point, and a lot of times it's I'll trust you till you give me a reason not to. Well, in the prepping situation, or a situation where the poop hits the fan, I think you got to be a little more careful, and you got to scrutinize the folks that you're associating with, especially if you're going to share knowledge and that sort of thing. You certainly don't want to put yourself in a situation where you've gained the trust, or allegedly gained the trust of, Billy Bob, and he's just out for himself. And when the poop hits the fan, Billy Bob's at your front door with a firearm saying, "All right, Keith, give me all your beans and rice." Definitely not a good scene to be involved with. So make sure you scrutinize and you vet the people that you're associating with, because when the poop hits the fan, the last thing you want to worry about is someone within your group, going rogue and not being able to, support the group as a whole. Speaking of things going rogue and things going pear-shaped or things going sideways, I can't believe some of the videos that I've seen on social media, especially on Twitter, X, or whatever it's called now. Just the absolute disregard for human life. And maybe this has been going on a while. I'm not sure. Maybe social media brings this to the forefront. But these videos of people, like at convenience stores, just getting a 6-pack or a thing of Doritos or an ice cream cone, and these cats walking in to rob the place and just shooting people in the head. They'll take their phone, they'll take their watch, and they put a bullet in their head. These people, they're not trying to hide their identity. And I know that type of behavior is out there, but it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies knowing there's people running around that have such a disregard for human life that they will shoot you in the head for a cell phone or your watch or your jewelry. Who knows? Your car keys. It's amazing. These people will risk their life, or they'll take the chance of dying in prison for a cell phone. And that's a part, I guess, 99.9% of society and the population in the world probably have no way to really wrap their head around or fathom that kind of behavior. So why do I bring that up? So, you've got your little bug in location, your bug out location. And if these people are going to act like this, if these criminals are going to act like this for a cell phone or a watch, and I've said it before, what do you think they're going to do when they get a group of 5 or 6 together and they're going house to house, apartment to apartment, looking for food? Now, if there's a breakdown of society, people will do some of the craziest things for food. I've talked about it several podcasts ago about people hijacking an ice truck, a truck trying to bring ice to a 7-Eleven. I think it was Hurricane Katrina, maybe it was Gaston, I can't remember. But people actually hijacking a truck that's trying to bring ice to a 7-Eleven because these people weren't prepared for a multi-day event where they're without power. So they didn't get their ice. I guess they have to have ice for something, but they actually hijacked this poor guy just trying to bring ice to a 7-Eleven. So if somebody's going to do that and they're going to kill somebody for a cell phone or a watch, what do you think they're going to do when they find out that somebody down the street, has water or food, firearms, a storm shelter, root cellar, whatever it happens to be? And I'll tell you what, folks, if you have 2, 3 people in your family, 4 or 5 people in your family, get your little group together, depending on how your group is armed and how desperate these group of vigilantes or vagabonds or whatever you want to call them, they're out looking for food and water. They're not looking for cell phones and watches. They're looking for food and water. And I just think it's going to be a very, very difficult situation when folks are confronted with a gang of 5 or 6 people that are armed that are coming for food. It's your family. Let's say it's you, the wife, the husband, the boyfriend, and a couple kids and the dog. How are you going to fare against a group of 5 or 6 people that are kicking down your door because they want something in your freezer or they want your food? And here's my opinion. Don't think for a second that if you throw them a package of crackers and a thing of Spam and a couple cans of tuna, do you think that's going to suffice? Okay, just give me a thing of peanut butter and a loaf of bread and some of those freeze-dried Skittles, and we'll just leave you alone. If you think that's going to happen, you're sorely mistaken. I don't think you would be able just to toss people that food. Okay, thanks. We'll leave you alone now. If they know that you have that, then they're going to come in the house, and if they're going to kill somebody for a cell phone or a watch, they are not going to think twice, especially in a very lawless time or a lawless time in society when emergency services is broken down. Because I've told you before, nobody's coming to help. You're going to have to rescue yourself. You're going to have to rescue your family members. And it's just horrifying and disturbing at the same time when I see some of these videos and the absolute disregard for human life that these people have. I was a cop for 26 years. It still sends chills up my spine to know that there are people out there that have such a disregard for human life that they're going to end somebody's life for a cell phone or a watch and potentially put them in a position where they're going to spend the rest of their life in prison. They will not think twice about kicking down your door and eliminating you, your family, whoever's there, so they can get, just peanut butter and crackers. Maybe they won't find all the firearms. Maybe they won't find all the food. But if they're going to kill somebody for a phone, they're going to kill you for your peanut butter and jelly and your jar of honey and a 5-gallon bucket of rice. I guarantee it. So I think about that when I think about bugging in. You got to think about operational security. You don't want like barbed wire and claymore mines in your front yard. I mean, what do? Do you make your house look as unassuming as you can? Oh, it's just a house. Is it a house with, bars on the windows? I've got a chicken coop in the back. Some gang of marauders or vagabonds. Let's call them marauders. A little group of marauders running around. Oh, that guy has chickens. Maybe he has eggs. Maybe he stores the eggs. Maybe he's one of those prepper guys. But I think there's going to be a fine line between bugging in and trying to make your home secure without making it look like some mini fortress, because that is just going to draw attention to yourself when these little groups start roaming around looking for food, looking for shelter. The power goes out. Your generator, you can hear those things several houses away. Somebody's going to hear a generator and they're saying, wait a second, they have a generator. That means they have a fridge, they have a freezer, they have electricity. I bet you they've got food that they don't want to spoil. Let me go grab a couple of my buddies and a couple guns, and we're going to go find the house with the generator. Solar panels, same thing. Solar panels on the roof are, I guess, slightly obscured. You really got to look for them. But you've probably driven through your neighborhood and just like, oh, look at that. They have solar panels. That's kind of cool. People who don't know any better, instead of, just trying to make their power bill a little less every month, now you have people saying, wait a minute, don't preppers have solar panels, or don't preppers have, alternatives? When the power goes out, is it a solar generator that's quiet? You get a solar generator, it doesn't make any noise. You get a very small generator that can perhaps charge the rest of your solar generator, or your battery bank. You'll see, several days of bad weather. There's just so much you really need to consider. And I think all of us would want to think, if you think tactically, and we're probably all saying, you should be saying that when it comes to my safety and the safety of my family or your friends or whoever it happens to be, that's paramount. Nobody's going to hurt my family. Nobody's going to hurt my kids. And, in my opinion, if you're confronted, with a deadly force situation, you're confronted with nobody's coming to help, and somebody's there for your peanut butter and crackers, and they're armed, you need to decide what's important. You need to decide if this is something that warrants deadly force, because again, they're not going to be satisfied with just a couple things. So a very, very sticky situation, but that's a situation that everybody has to decide. And I think it's important to think of that beforehand. If you're in a deadly force type of situation, somebody's coming after your peanut butter and crackers and your jelly, if you have to think about what you want to do at that very instant, you're probably too late. I think you need to have the mindset that you have the right to survive, and that when put into a life or death or deadly force situation where your life is in danger, or that of a loved one or a friend that you're there with, you need to have made that decision that if that happens, you are going to use the force necessary to stop the threat. That's something you got to think about. Then you're probably going to be too late. I spoke about action versus reaction. I think that was in the last podcast. And by the way, that was a very popular podcast. Thank you so much for the folks that listened and the folks that downloaded that. That was a very popular podcast. But anyway, got off on a couple little tangents. I am going to work on the bugging in type situation. And how I got to thinking about that was, I'm thinking about like long term, as my father was ill and everything, he's ill. I'm thinking, well, if he has to come to live with me, and let's just say for just theoretically that your family or my father is like bedridden or bedbound. Bedridden? Yeah. He can't get out. He's in a bed. He's not out doing cartwheels in the backyard. Then bugging out is not, let's say it happens today. So bugging out is not plausible for me, because let's say this is the situation today and my dad was at home with me. I'm not leaving my father. So it's a bug-in situation. So if something was to happen, if somebody's coming after my peanut butter and jelly and they come through the back door or whatever, then it's on, and it's going to happen right there. It's not, oh my gosh, let's pack up my dad and the kids and the chickens, the cats or whatever, and let's head out to our cabin in the woods, because I don't have a cabin in the woods yet. So, that's, if that was a scenario, and hope to God it never happens, I have made that decision on what would happen, presented with a deadly force situation, and I would definitely use the force necessary to stop that threat without hesitation, absolutely without hesitation. And you cannot hesitate. If you have made that decision that you're going to protect yourself or your family, then you have made that decision. And when it comes time, you need to act, and you need to act very swiftly, and you need to react with the proper level of force to stop the threat. Okay, folks, I have rambled on so much for a quick little update that went completely off the rails. And again, folks, thanks so much for stopping by and listening to this. Just want to give a very quick update about what's going on. Super, super busy. Like I said, running on empty, burning the candle at both ends, or whatever little cliches you want to throw on it. But again, folks, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the listens. Thanks for all the downloads. And I will hopefully get one properly recorded here as soon as I can. And folks, as always, and it's almost like every time I say this, it's like every week or every couple of weeks I record something, and it almost becomes more and more apparent, or more and more evident to me that when I say, please be careful out there, take care of one another, absolutely take care of one another, hug the people you love, hug your friends. I wouldn't hug people that aren't your friends, because that could be kind of creepy and that could get you in trouble. Don't do it at work. Don't hug people at work that don't want to be hugged, because you'll end up in human resources. We don't want that to happen. So again, folks, be careful out there. Please take care of one another. And until next time.